Luna is known in our circle for her unwavering devotion. For me, she turned down countless young and talented suitors, only wishing to stay with me forever. But at my proposal ceremony, her first love asked, if I interrupted the wedding, would you go with me? She answered seriously, yes. At that moment, the sympathy, ridicule, and pity from everyone around me felt like countless steel needles, densely stabbing into my flesh and blood. Ethan, a Phoenix man who clawed his way out of small county, scraped through college on scholarships and part-time jobs, and climbed step by step to become the technical director of the company, became a huge joke at the carefully planned proposal ceremony. I looked at Luna. We had been in love for 5 years, from university to the workplace. I thought we were each other's destination. For this proposal, I emptied all my savings and even borrowed money to buy her that Vera Wang couture wedding dress she had been staring at in the shop window for more than half a month, worth $300,000, and that DR diamond ring symbolizing a lifetime together. She said, Ethan, I don't want anything. I only want you. Now, she was going to walk away with another man. That man was called Jasper, the second son of the Cole family in Jing City, and Luna's unreachable first love from high school. He had been abroad for 7 years with no word. Every time Luna mentioned him, the light in her eyes dimmed a little. I thought time would erase everything. I thought my love could fill all the regrets. It turned out I was just a substitute who happened to appear during her empty period, a cheap hand warmer who, when her true son returned, would be thrown into the trash without hesitation. Jasper reached out his hand to her, graceful and arrogant, as if he were the one center stage today. Luna, almost without hesitation, lifted her wedding dress and stepped toward him. My reason shattered completely in that instant. I rushed over, grabbed her, and snatched a ceremonial golden ribbon-cutting scissors from the flower tray by the usher. Ethan, what are you doing? Are you crazy? Luna screamed, trying to break free. I ignored her. The cold blade of the scissors pressed against the ornate, soft wedding dress fabric crack. A crisp, grating sound. The precious lace and satin in my hands turned into a heap of rags. Luna let out a breaking scream, tears flooding her eyes. My wedding dress. Ethan, you madman. You'll pay for my dress. Pay. I laughed. A laugh uglier than crying. Fine. I'll give you my life. Will that be enough? I tore the dress to pieces, then yanked the blazing hot diamond ring off my ring finger and, without another glance, hurled it away with all my strength. Amid the chaos and cries, a hand grabbed my wrist hard and snatched the scissors from my hand. What are you doing? It's all hard-earned money, isn't it? Why demean yourself like this? It was my sworn brother and good friend, Dylan. He was my roommate from college and the heir to this 5-star hotel. He's the one who let me use today's proposal venue free of charge. He bent over, and under the contemptuous gazes of the crowd, as if nothing had happened, he picked the diamond ring up from the carpet, blew non-existent dust off it, and stuffed it back into my pocket. Keep it. You can swap it for a couple of bucks for booze. Then he put his arm around my shoulder and, in a voice not too loud but loud enough for everyone nearby to hear, said, People like you are born to live off others, but of course you had to go and pick a rotten bowl. I froze, not understanding what he meant by that. He turned his head, and to the stunned Luna and the expectant Jasper, he pulled a smile full of mockery. I've got a gold bar at home. Are you taking a hug or not? Dylan half-dragged, half-pulled me out of the banquet hall. Behind us were Luna's cries and the guests' whispers, like a tide trying to drown me. It wasn't until I climbed into Dylan's flashy Aston Martin that the tightness in my nerves finally eased. My whole body felt as if its bones had been pulled out, collapsing into the passenger seat. A wave of humiliation and heartache crashed over me, my eyes burning in spasms, but stubbornly refusing to let the tears fall. Dylan didn't say anything. He just handed me a cigarette and lit one for himself, and for a moment the cabin filled with smoke. Thanks, I croaked. If it weren't for him, I don't know what crazier thing I might have done. Save your thanks. Dylan blew out a smoke ring. 10 years knowing you, and this is the first time I've seen you this pathetic. Over a woman, was it worth it? I gave a wry smile. You haven't loved, you don't understand. Dylan sneered. Love? Ethan, can you tell the difference between love, being moved, and habit? What Luna wants, you can't give her. Your paycheck, earned by killing yourself, isn't enough for Jasper to buy her a bag. You two were never from the same world from the start. Those words were like knives stabbing my heart, but I was powerless to rebut. Yeah, I had fought with everything I had just to reach the ceiling of her world, while Jasper was born already standing in the clouds. Don't think about it. Dylan flicked the ash from his cigarette. Well, I just said I meant it. I paused. What did you say? The gold bar in my place. Are you going to take it or not? I frowned, a little annoyed. Dylan, of all times, can you stop teasing me? Who are you kidding? Dylan parked the car at the side of the road, turned his head, his expression more serious than I'd ever seen. Ethan, I'm asking you, do you want to get revenge on Luna and Jasper? Do you want to make them regret what they did today? Do you want to return, in double measure, the humiliation they once inflicted on you? His words were like a bewitching spell. Every single one struck precisely the chord of my deepest resentment and anger. Do I want to? I want it even in my dreams. I want to see Luna kneel before me in tears, confessing. I want to see Jasper's arrogant face beaten and swollen. I want them to know that I, Ethan, am not a soft pear that anyone can trample. Want to? I almost squeezed the word out through my teeth. All right. Dylan nodded. Come home with me and meet that gold brick. The car sped all the way and finally stopped in a top-tier gated mansion district with tight security. It was my first time at Dylan's home. I knew his family was wealthy, but I hadn't expected them to be this rich. Walking through the meticulously tended garden, I entered a villa that resembled a castle, where an elegant and dignified woman came to meet me. Dylan, you're back. She paused for a moment when she saw me, but still smiled politely. Mom, this is my friend, Ethan. Dylan introduced. Where's my sister? She's in the upstairs studio. There seemed to be a faint, hard-to-detect sorrow in Margaret's smile. Dylan pulled me upstairs and opened a white door. The studio was large and filled with excellent light. A girl in a white long dress stood with her back to us in front of a huge easel. She was slim, with seaweed-like black hair falling to her waist. Sunlight poured through the floor-to-ceiling windows and seemed to make her glow. Hearing the door open, she turned around. In that instant, my breath caught. I have met many beauties. Luna is very beautiful, but the girl before me was otherworldly. Her features were so delicate, they seemed like God's finest work, her skin fair and luminous, and her eyes like lakes filled with stars. Clear and pure, yet carrying a distance that kept people 1,000 miles away. Is she the gold brick Dylan mentioned? His sister, Sophia? I always thought Dylan was an only child. He had never mentioned having a sister. Sophia. Dylan walked over, his voice a gentleness I had never heard before. Let me introduce you. This is my best friend, Ethan. Sophia's gaze landed on me, gave me a brief glance, then slightly nodded as a sort of greeting. From beginning to end, she didn't utter a single word. Dylan seemed used to it. He took my hand and led me out of the studio, gently closing the door. My sister, Sophia. Pretty, right? He raised an eyebrow. I nodded honestly. She's ill. The next words from Dylan struck me like a thunderbolt. What? Post-traumatic stress disorder, accompanied by aphasia. Dylan's voice sank. 5 years ago, she was kidnapped. Although she was rescued, she stopped speaking afterward. We tried countless psychiatrists, but nothing helped. I stared blankly at the closed door, unable to reconcile that fairy-like girl with such a brutal experience. The kidnappers wanted money, but my parents handled it badly and angered them. My sister was frightened. Dylan's fists clenched unconsciously, a trace of pain and guilt flashing in his eyes. I was silent. So this was the biggest secret of the Taylor family. Then what do you mean by bringing me here? I had a ridiculous suspicion forming in my mind. Dylan looked me straight in the eyes and said, word by word, Ethan, marry my sister. You're crazy. I shouted, Dylan, this isn't funny. I'm not crazy, and I'm not joking. Dylan's expression was deadly serious. Ethan, I know what kind of man you are. You're smart, resilient, ambitious, and most importantly, you're loyal. You poured your heart out to Luna before. Now, I want you to give that goodness to my sister. Why me? I couldn't understand. Because I trust you, Dylan said. I've looked into Jasper. That kid isn't clean abroad, his private life's a mess, and he's lost a lot on investments. Him coming back this time is probably to use the Cole name to make money. If Luna follows him, she'll cry sooner or later. But I don't care about her. I only care about you. I can't bear to see you ruined like that. He paused, then continued. My sister needs someone. Someone who can truly be good to her. Someone who can pull her out of that closed-off world. Over the years, my parents have arranged countless blind dates for her. We all know what those men are after. Only you, Ethan. I've seen what you've done for Luna. You're not in it for the money. You genuinely care for someone. This is ridiculous. I shook my head. Marriage isn't a joke, and it's not a transaction. Does your sister, does she know what you're thinking? Does she agree? Whether she agrees isn't the point. What's important is that my parents will agree. As long as it makes her better, they'll do anything. Dylan's voice held a note of resolve. Ethan, this is a win-win. You marry my sister, and the Taylor family becomes your backing. What does the Cole family even matter? If you say yes, I can make sure Jasper can't survive in Jing City. Don't you want revenge? Isn't this the best way? His words, like a flame, rekindled the resentment in my heart. Imagine how Luna and Jasper would look when I appear before them as a son-in-law of the Taylor family. Isn't Luna disdainful of me for being poor, for not being able to give her the life she wants? Then I'll rise in one bound to a height she can never reach. Doesn't Jasper think his family background lets him brazenly snatch my beloved away? Then I'll make him understand what real power is. The temptation is too great. Great enough to make me temporarily overlook the absurdity and injustice behind this marriage. What do you need me to do? I heard my own voice ask. Dylan laughed, relieved. It's simple. Marry my sister, live in the house, stay with her, be good to her. I'll give you some seed money. Haven't you always wanted to start your own business, build your own smart home brand? Go for it. If you need any resources, the Taylor family will support you. Your sister. Her life, is it just arranged by you like this? I still felt something inside me couldn't accept it. The smile on Dylan's face disappeared, replaced by a heavy sorrow. Ethan, 5 years. She shut herself in that little world for 5 years. If this is her life, it might be better to let her take a chance. The doctors say a new environment, someone who can give her enough security without psychological burdens, might be the key to curing her. What makes you think I'm that person? Intuition. Dylan patted my shoulder. A brother's intuition. That night, I stayed at Taylor's. Margaret treated me kindly, but there was scrutiny in her eyes. Dylan's father, a calm, imposing middle-aged man, talked with me for a long time. He didn't make any demands. He just told me many stories about Sophia's childhood. He said how lively and cheerful Sophia used to be, like a little son, the joy of the whole family. By the end, the man who had ruled the business world had red-rimmed eyes. Mr. Johnson, I don't know why Dylan chose you, but if you can get my daughter to speak again, I'll give you half of the Taylor family's estate. My mind was shaken violently. Late at night, I lay on a soft bed in the guest room, tossing and turning. In my mind, on one side was Luna's resolute back and Jasper's contemptuous look, and on the other was Sophia's clear yet lonely eyes. On one side, a bottomless abyss, on the other a stairway to the heavens. I knew that if I nodded, my life would be completely rewritten. The dignity I had lost could be recovered 100-fold, 1,000-fold. But what about Sophia? She was like a fragile porcelain doll, carefully held by her family and placed in front of me, a stranger. Could I really be her salvation? What if I couldn't? I took out my phone and opened Luna's social app. The latest post was from half an hour ago, a close photo of her and Jasper, captioned, 7 years of waiting, finally complete. Thank you for coming back, my son. In the picture, she smiled like a blooming flower, leaning in Jasper's arms, as if the 5 years we had were never real. In the comments, Our mutual friends were all, at this moment, uniformly offering their congratulations. After all the twists and turns, it's still you. I knew it. A match made in heaven. A talented man and a beautiful woman. Luna, be happy. Ridiculous. My dignity that was shredded, the ring that was thrown away, and the heart that was wounded to 1,000 scars. At this moment, all became annotations to her happiness. I turned off my phone. The last flicker of hesitation and tenderness in my eyes died out with it. Fuck love, fuck sincerity. From today on, I, Ethan, want only money and power. The next morning, I found Dylan. I promise you. Sophia and I held our wedding quietly and quickly. No guests, no ceremony. Just went to the Civil Affairs Bureau to get the certificate with only the Taylor family as witnesses. When I received that little red marriage book, I felt calm, even a little numb. Sophia was the same. She showed no expression the whole time, like a finely made doll being posed by others. We became spouses in the legal sense. I moved into the Taylor house, into the room next to Sophia's bedroom. The Taylors gave us plenty of space, calling it fostering our relationship. Our life after marriage was as strange as a silent play. Every morning after I got up, we would eat breakfast together at the long dining table. She ate very slowly and quietly, never making a sound. During the day, she would stay in her studio. I visited a few times. The paintings she made were all in dull colors with twisted lines, full of repression and pain, leaving me feeling choked up. As for me, with Dylan's help, I founded my own tech company, Arc Intelligence. I put all the smart home ideas I had since university into formal proposals. After Richard read them, he was very pleased and directly allocated $50 million to me as seed funding. I threw myself into work with all my energy. Days were spent at the company in meetings, meeting clients, and overseeing R&D. Nights I went home and studied various materials until late. I'm so busy that I hardly have time to think about Luna, nor time to consider this strange marriage with Sophia. There is very little communication between Sophia and me, or rather, almost none. Every day, I tell her good morning and good night, and I tell her when I leave and when I return. She never responds, only occasionally nodding at me. Sometimes I work until midnight, and when I come out of the study, I see her standing at the door with a cup of warm milk, quietly waiting. She handed me the milk, then turned and walked away. Sometimes, when it's thundering and raining outside, her bedroom door will be left slightly ajar. I know she's scared. That kidnapping left too deep a shadow on her. I will move a chair and sit at her door until the rain stops. We are like two strangers living under the same roof, keeping a delicate, safe distance. I thought days like this would go on forever. Until that day, when I got drunk at a business dinner with a client over a cooperation plan. By the time I got home, it was almost 2 a.m. I vomited until I felt dizzy, my stomach churning wildly in agonizing pain. In a daze, I felt someone supporting me, wiping my face, and handing me a cup of warm honey water. I forced my eyes open and saw Sophia's face, written all over with worry. She was wearing a white nightgown, her long hair loose, moonlight streaming in from the window, making her look like a spirit untouched by the world. When she saw I was awake, she seemed to exhale in relief and turned to leave. I, as if guided by some unseen force, grabbed her hand. Her hand was cool and soft. "Don't go," I murmured, not sure if it was drunken words or a longing from deep within. She stopped walking and did not pull away. Riding the courage the alcohol gave me, I poured out all the bitterness and repression in my heart. I talked about my background, how my parents struggled to raise me, how I fought desperately in my studies and worked to make a place for myself in the big city. I talked about the 5 years with Luna, how I loved her, how I had planned her into every step of my future. I talked about that humiliating proposal, how my heart was torn apart piece by piece. They all mocked me, called me a fool, a buffoon. I worked so hard for so long, and in the end I became a joke. I, like a child, showed my vulnerability in front of others for the first time. As I spoke, I felt a cold liquid dripping onto the back of my hand. I looked up and saw Sophia crying. She made no sound, Tears, like beads cut loose from a string, kept rolling down from her beautiful eyes. Her face was full of heartache and sorrow. At that moment, my heart felt as if it had been struck hard by something. I reached out my hand and gently wiped the tears from her face. She did not pull away. We continued to look at each other like that, in the silent late night, two equally broken souls seemingly finding solace in one another. From that day on, everything began to change. Sophia was no longer just silently waiting for me. She would try to communicate with me in other ways. She would place a small succulent on my desk and leave a note on my bedside table that read, "Get some rest early." Her paintings gradually brightened in color. Blue skies and white clouds began to appear in them, and even a small sun. One day, I came home from work and saw that she had painted a picture. It depicted a man whose back looked a lot like mine. He stood in a field of sunflowers, the sunlight brilliant. In the lower right corner of the painting was a small signature, no longer a twisted scribble, but two graceful characters, "Sunny Day." At that moment, my heart was filled with a warmth and softness that I could hardly put into words. I began to look forward to going home, to seeing her. I anticipated what little surprise she might bring me that day. I even started learning to draw, spending weekends with her in the studio. I was terrible at it, but every time she would look at my masterpieces and show the faintest smile. That was the first time she smiled at me. Like ice and snow thawing, all things come back to life. And my career surged forward all the way. The first-generation product from Arc Intelligence quickly carved out a place in the market with its user-friendly design and solid technology. In less than half a year, the company's valuation multiplied tenfold. Ethan, was no longer that poor kid who had to borrow money to buy a wedding dress. I had become a rising star in tech, a young entrepreneur pursued by every major media outlet. All of this, of course, was noticed by Luna and Jasper. My success landed like a resounding slap, hitting Luna and Jasper hard in the face. That day at an industry summit, I ran into them. As a guest speaker, I went on stage to share my entrepreneurial insights. Standing under the spotlight, speaking confidently, I could clearly feel those two resentful, envious gazes from the audience. After the speech, Luna blocked the entrance to my dressing room. She looked much more haggard. The sparkle that used to be in her eyes was gone, replaced by fatigue and unwillingness. "Ethan, can we talk?" she asked hoarsely. "What is there left for us to talk about?" I asked coldly. "I know you hate me." She bit her lip, her eyes reddening. "Back then, it was my fault. But Ethan, don't you have any memory of the 5 years we spent together?" 5 years together? I laughed, but the humor didn't reach my eyes. "Luna, when you abandoned me in front of everyone and turned me into the laughingstock of the city, why didn't you remember our 5 years? When you and Jasper flew off together and showed it off on social media, why didn't you remember our 5 years?" My words pierced the heart with every syllable. Her face went deathly pale in an instant. Jasper and I are not what you think. She seemed to want to explain something. "It's none of your business how we are." I cut her off. "I'm married, and I'm happy. Please don't bother me again." When I finished, I walked around her to leave. "It's because of Sophia, isn't it?" she suddenly screamed behind me. "Because she's the miss of the Taylor family. She can give you everything you want. Ethan, you've changed. You're so different, so materialistic." I stopped, turned around, and looked at her coldly. "Yes, you're right. Everything you said is right. I'm materialistic. I went after the Taylors for their power. But didn't you teach me all this? Luna, it was you who told me back then that sincere love is worthless. Only power and money let a person live with dignity. Now I'm doing exactly what you taught me. What right do you have to blame me?" Her lips trembled. She couldn't utter a single word. "All right." I seemed to remember something, took my phone out of my pocket, opened a photo, and held it out in front of her. In the photo, it's Sophia and me in the studio. She's smiling as she helps me touch up a painting, sunlight spilling over us, time peaceful and good. Forgot to tell you, my wife, her name is Sophia. She's beautiful and kind. She's the sun in my life. Seeing Luna's face drain of color in an instant, a rush of vengeful pleasure surged through me. But woven into that pleasure was also a subtle, indescribable sense of loss. I thought I would feel relieved, but I didn't. Perhaps it's because, in my heart, Luna, along with that shameful past, no longer mattered as much. What truly unsettled me was something else. When I returned home, Dylan was waiting for me in the living room. His expression was dark. When he saw me, he threw a document onto the table. "Read it yourself." I picked up the file, and after only one glance, my pupils abruptly constricted. It was an investigative report about the case of Sophia's kidnapping 5 years ago. And on the last page of the report, to my utter disbelief, appeared a name I would never have imagined. Jasper. What does this mean? My voice was a little tight. It means that Jasper was involved in that kidnapping back then. Dylan's eyes were bloodshot. He wasn't the ringleader, just a small player who tipped off the kidnappers. His company ran into trouble, and he desperately needed money, so he set his sights on my sister. My mind went buzzing and blank. Then things blew up and someone died. He got scared, took the money, and fled the country. He couldn't make it abroad these past few years, so he came back. Dylan's voice was full of violence and murderous intent. That bastard. He not only ruined your relationship, he ruined my sister's life. I clenched the report, my knuckles whitening from the force. A towering wave of rage rose from the depths of my heart, nearly burning my reason to ashes. So that's how it was. It turned out that all of this, from beginning to end, was one huge conspiracy. Jasper approaching Luna, perhaps from the very start, not just because of some damned white moon, but to use her to monitor me and to probe for news about the Taylor family. Because I am Dylan's best friend. He feared the past would be exposed, so he struck first, snatching Luna away, trampling me into the mud, leaving me powerless to fight back and with no chance to access the core of the Taylor family. What a move, removing the fuel from under the pot. What do you want to do? I looked up at Dylan. A flash of ruthlessness passed through Dylan's eyes. I want him dead. No. I shook my head. That's too easy on him. I want him to pay back what he owes Sophia, principal and interest. I want him to taste what it's like to fall from the clouds into hell. More importantly, I can't allow Sophia to be subjected to any more shocks. I must, in the most reliable and ruthless way, quietly eliminate this malignant tumor. I began secretly gathering evidence of Jasper's crimes together with Dylan. After Jasper returned to the country, he set up an investment company that was actually just an empty shell, pulling in investments everywhere and running a Ponzi scheme under the guise of capital operations. He relied on the Cole family name and that deceptive face to really rope in a lot of suckers. Among them was Luna's father. I had Dylan get someone to investigate and discover that the Bennett family's company had long been all show and no substance, its cash flow broken and kept afloat only by loans. Luna's father had pinned his last hope on Jasper, practically mortgaging the entire company. No wonder Luna would so easily give me up and choose Jasper. She did not love me. It was just that in the face of the family's survival, our love seemed far too small, far too powerless. At the proposal ceremony, Jasper's appearance was, for her, like grabbing the last straw. The hatred I had for her dissipated considerably after learning this truth, replaced by a complex pity. She was a pitiable person too, but I won't sympathize with her. She chose this path herself, and she must bear the consequences. Dylan and I set up a very big trap. First, we leaked the rumor that Arc Intelligence is seeking Series B funding to lure Jasper, Indiana. Sure enough, Jasper took the bait. He sat in my office, still with that aloof air, as if it were my honor that he came to invest in me. "Mr. Johnson, I've long heard of you. I never expected that an unremarkable little technician back then could achieve so much today," he said with a smile that hit a knife. "Mr. Cole, you're flattering me." I smiled and poured him a cup of tea. The wheel of fortune turns. Who would have thought that the second son of the Cole family, who once enjoyed endless glory abroad, would now be running around looking for investments? His expression changed slightly, but he quickly returned to normal. "Mr. Johnson, you flatter me. I'm just bullish on Arc's future. So, how about it? Consider my investment? I can offer resources others can't. Oh, really? I feigned curiosity. Like what? For example, I can help you get rid of that woman Luna for good. I know she's been harassing you lately. He lowered his voice, wearing an expression of we're cut from the same cloth. Women, you know, are for fun. Taking them seriously is boring, especially when she's a spendthrift. Hearing him speak of Luna in such a flippant tone made me sick. Luna must be blind to fall for a scumbag like that. But I kept a poker face and only smiled. Mr. Cole's proposal is tempting. However, I need time to consider it. After seeing Jasper off, Dylan came out of the monitoring room next door, looking disgusted. Fuck, that bastard is really something else. He'd even used the one in his bed as bargaining chip. So we must make sure he dies clearly and unmistakably. My gaze was icy. Our plan progressed step by step. Jasper, to secure my funding and show his capability, began even more frantically robbing Peter to pay Paul, rolling the snowball of his scheme ever larger. And we only needed to give a gentle push at the most critical moment. On the day before the final sweep, something unexpected happened. That night, I was in my study going over the last of the materials when Sophia pushed the door open and came in. She was carrying a bowl of freshly stewed rock sugar pear. She set the bowl on my desk and didn't leave. Instead, she took out her phone, typed a line in the Notes app, and held it up for me to read. You've been preoccupied lately. I paused, looking up at her. Her eyes were like a clear spring, vividly reflecting my tired, tense face. So she knew everything. She just didn't say anything. My heart instantly melted into a complete mush. I set the documents down and took her hand. Sophia, if I told you I did some bad things, would you be afraid of me? She shook her head. Then very slowly, she opened her mouth. With a light, hoarse sound, like a machine that hadn't been started in a long time, she uttered two words. Not afraid. In that moment, my world seemed to explode in fireworks. It was the first time in 5 years that she had spoken. She spoke for me. I was so overwhelmed I could hardly speak and could only hold her tightly in my arms. Sophia, you spoke. You finally agreed to speak. She nodded slightly in my arms, then reached out clumsily and hugged me back. Holding her, feeling her warm body and real presence, I felt an unprecedented calm and determination. For her, I'm willing to stand against the whole world. The next day, it was time to close the net. I arranged to meet Jasper at the company to sign an investment letter of intent. At the same time, Dylan anonymously submitted all the evidence we had gathered to the economic investigation and tax departments. When Jasper walked in my office, he was all smiles and confidence. He thought he was about to climb the big tree of the Taylor family and expand his scheme even further. Mr. Johnson, have you made up your mind? I have. I smiled and pushed a document in front of him. Mr. Cole, sign it. He didn't even look, grabbed the pen, and was about to sign. Just then, the door to my office was thrown open. A group of police officers in uniform walked in. Jasper, you are suspected of commercial fraud and illegal fundraising. Come with us. Jasper's face instantly went from rosy to ashen, and the pen in his hand fell to the floor with a snap. No, impossible. You've made a mistake. I'm the second son of the Cole Group. I was invited by Mr. Johnson, he shouted incoherently. I stood up, walked over to him, and looked down at him from above. Jasper, do you think that after so long, no one remembers what happened in the warehouse on Binjeong Road 5 years ago? At the sound of the 6 words, warehouse on Binjeong Road, Jasper's pupils suddenly constricted to pinpoints. He looked as if he'd seen a ghost, staring at me intently. How did you know? I not only know, I also know that the girl who was terrified into silence by you back then is now my wife. I spoke each word deliberately, my voice not loud, but striking his heart like a hammer. What? Jasper went completely limp, his eyes filled with despair and fear. He could never have imagined that everything he had painstakingly built would be destroyed in this way by someone he had never taken seriously. Jasper was taken away. What awaits him is the full force of the law and a long stretch behind bars. The Cole family, eager to distance themselves, issued a statement immediately, declaring that all of Jasper's actions abroad were unrelated to the family and removing him from the genealogy. When the tree falls, the monkeys scatter. The investors he deceived were wiped out. Among them, the worst off was the Bennett family. The Bennett Group announced bankruptcy and liquidation overnight. Luna's father couldn't bear the blow, suffered a cerebral hemorrhage, and was admitted to the ICU. Luna came to see me. Not at the office, but at the gate of my villa. She knelt on the ground, crying her heart out, begging me to spare her father, to spare her family. Ethan, I was wrong. I really was. Please, for the sake of what we once had, help me. If you'll help, I'll do anything you ask. She kept banging her head on the ground. Her forehead was split, bleeding. It was humiliating and pitiful. I looked at her quietly, feeling neither hatred nor satisfaction, only a profound desolation. If today was known, why act as you did back then? I didn't speak. I just turned to go back into the room. Ethan, she screamed hoarsely, I know you married Sophia just to use the Taylor family to get back at me. You have no real feelings. The one you love is me. It's always been me. She was still clinging to such a ridiculous dream. Just then, the villa's front door opened from the inside. Sophia stepped out. She wore a beige dress, her long hair pinned up, a gentle smile on her face. She came to my side, naturally linked her arm with mine, then looked at Luna kneeling on the ground. Miss, she spoke, her voice clear and pleasant, like a warbler in the valley. I think you're mistaken. Ethan, the one he loves, is me. Luna froze, staring at the speaking Sophia like she was looking at a monster. No, how could you? Is it your belief that if someone steals another's thing, that person should live in pain forever, forever waiting for you to change your mind? Sophia's gaze was very calm, yet carried a power that seemed to see everything. Ms. Bennett, you were the one who pushed him away with your own hands. Now he belongs to me. After speaking, she stood on tiptoe and gently pressed a kiss to the side of my face. In the sunlight, her smile was more beautiful than any scenery I had ever seen. Luna completely collapsed. She looked at us, her expression shifting from pleading to resentment, and finally to a dead gray despair. I knew she had lost, utterly and completely. We ignored her and turned to walk into the house. The moment I closed the door, I pulled Sophia tightly into my arms. Thank you. Thank you for healing me, and for healing yourself as well. Thank you for letting me know that true love is redemption, it is growth, and it makes us both become better people. She was in my arms, smiling softly. We are married, you know. Things should have ended perfectly here. Jasper went to prison, the Bennett family went bankrupt, and Sophia and I lived a happy life. Just when I thought everything had settled, Dylan found me. His expression was even graver than when he first told me Jasper was involved in the kidnapping. He handed me a document, an investigative report. What is this? I suddenly had a bad feeling. Take a look first. Dylan's voice was unusually hoarse. I opened the file and read through it at a glance. The more I read, the heavier my heart became, and my hands and feet grew cold. This was a more in-depth investigative report on the kidnapping case from 5 years ago. Previously, we all thought Jasper was just a minor informant. But the report pointed out that Jasper's role was far greater than we had imagined. And one crucial piece of information sent me into an ice-cold daze. According to the latest informant testimony, on the night of the kidnapping, in addition to Jasper, there may have been another accomplice from within the Taylor household at the scene. This accomplice provided the kidnappers with core information such as Sophia's daily whereabouts and security vulnerabilities, and afterwards assisted Jasper in escaping smoothly. An accomplice from within the Taylor household? Who is it? I suddenly looked up at Dylan. An utterly absurd and terrifying thought uncontrollably crept into my mind. Dylan, I said with difficulty. Dylan didn't look away from me. He only gave a bitter smile and nodded. It's me. Boom. At this moment, I felt my world completely collapse. How could it be him? How could it possibly be him? The brother who pulled me up when I was at my lowest, the brother who was frantic over his sister's illness, the person I trusted and relied on most. He was actually an accomplice in that tragedy back then. What? It felt like all the blood in my body had frozen. My voice trembled beyond recognition. Because of jealousy, Dylan closed his eyes, his face full of endless pain and regret. Ever since we were kids, everyone only liked her. Mom and Dad, Grandma and Grandpa, everyone revolved around her. She was smart, beautiful, and talented, Taylor family's brightest jewel. And me? I was just a lackey who laced her shoes. Just because of this, I couldn't believe it. I was too young then, only 19, blinded by pork lard. Dylan's voice was full of self-loathing. I met Jasper, and we hit it off. He said he could help me teach my sister a lesson, make her suffer a bit so she wouldn't be so arrogant anymore. I thought it would just be to scare her. I didn't expect things to get out of control, to end in someone's death. I was terrified. I was really terrified. Jasper ran away, and I didn't dare tell the truth. I was afraid my parents would kill me, afraid my life would be ruined forever. These past 5 years, I haven't slept a single night. Watching my sister suffer, I want her to get better more than anyone, because only if she gets better will the guilt in my heart ease even a little. I asked you to marry her because I really think you're good, and because I truly want to atone. I treated you as my only lifeline. When he finished speaking, tears streamed down his face. A man over 6 feet tall was crying like a helpless child. I looked at him, my mind in complete turmoil. Do I hate him? Of course I do. I hate that he deceived me, hate that he used me, and hate even more that he hurt the girl I cherish like a treasure. But I thought again of everything he has done for me over the past 6 months. He helped me set up the company, helped me get back at Jasper, helped me deal with those business predators. Without him, I wouldn't be where I am today. He really is atoning in a clumsy and obsessive way. And Sophia is the most innocent victim in this tragedy. If she found out this truth, it would be like driving another vicious knife into the wound that had only just started to heal. That knife would come from her dearest younger brother. She would fall apart again. I cannot let her know. Absolutely not. I took a deep breath and tore that report to pieces. Dylan, from today on, there is no such report, and there are no inside accomplices. The case from 5 years ago, the principal and the accomplices have all been brought to justice. It's over. Dylan jerked his head up and looked at me in disbelief. Nathan, I'm not doing this for you. I said coldly. I'm doing it for Sophia. Keep this secret buried inside you. In this life and the next, never bring it up again. From now on, be the second young master of the Taylor family that you're supposed to be. Treat your sister well. Spend your life making up for what you did. This is what you owe her. When I finished speaking, I turned and walked away. I was afraid if I stayed 1 second longer, I would be unable to stop myself from punching him to death. I returned to the room I shared with Sophia. She was sitting by the window reading, the years peaceful and kind. When she saw me come back, she smiled at me. I smiled back at her, forcing it, trying to make my expression look the same as always. I walked over and hugged her from behind. Sophia, I love you. She leaned into my arms, her voice soft and sweet. I love you too. I buried my face in her hair, breathing in her pleasant scent, while tears silently slid down. I thought I would bury this secret deep in my heart forever. But I had once again underestimated the drama of life. A week later, Jasper committed suicide in prison. He left behind a suicide note. That note was not handed to his parents. Through a lawyer, he specifically named that it should be delivered to Sophia. When that letter was delivered into my hands, my heart almost stopped beating. I didn't know what was written inside, but I had a strong premonition that it would be a Pandora's box that would destroy everything. I wanted to destroy it, but Sophia appeared behind me and took the letter away. Ethan, this is from me, right? She looked at me, her eyes clear, as if she had long seen through everything. My hand was trembling. Sophia, don't look. That's all the ravings of a man about to die. She shook her head, then, in front of me, opened the letter. My world went dark. Sophia was very quiet as she read the letter. My heart felt as if it were being roasted over a fire, every second in agony. I stared at her face, trying to catch even the slightest flicker of emotion. But there was none. She was calm. So calm it was like she was reading an inconsequential weather report. She didn't look up until she had finished the last line. Then she turned to me. Those eyes that had once been as clear as water now seemed covered by a thick fog, making them hard for me to see clearly. "Ethan," she said softly, her voice very light. "You know everything now, don't you?" My throat tightened. I couldn't say a single word. She smiled, and in that smile was a kind of desolate sorrow I had never seen before. Actually, I knew a long time ago, too. Those words exploded in my head like a thunderbolt. Wati, I was never truly rendered speechless. She lowered her eyelids, long lashes casting a shadow beneath her eyes. I just didn't know what to say, or who to say it to. What happened in that warehouse was too filthy, too terrifying. I don't want to bring it up again, nor face it again. I locked myself away, pretending I knew nothing, pretending to be a broken doll. I thought, maybe if I did that, no one would bother me anymore. But I remember every single detail from back then, clearly. Her voice began to tremble slightly. I remember Jasper's snarling face, and I remember, slipping behind those men, Dylan's silhouette. My heart felt as if an invisible hand had gripped it hard, aching so much I could not breathe. She always knew. She always knew that among the people who hurt her was her closest brother. She bore this heavy secret alone, struggling in the dark for a full 5 years. "I hate him," she said. "I hate him for doing that to me." So when he brought you in front of me and said he wanted you to marry me, I agreed. I knew you were his best brother, his only weakness. I wanted to use you. I wanted to get at him through you, to take my revenge. Her words were like the sharpest blade, slicing my heart piece by piece. So that's how it was. So from the very beginning, I was also a pawn. On Dylan's chessboard, I was the pawn meant to atone. On Sophia's chessboard, I am a piece used for revenge. How laughable. I thought I had jumped out of a quagmire, only to fall into an even deeper whirlpool. I thought I had found redemption and true love, but from beginning to end, it was all a carefully orchestrated manipulation. And you to me, I said with difficulty, asking the question I most feared the answer to, were your kindness, your concern, those smiles, all fake? She looked at me, and the tears finally fell. At first, yes. Her voice was very soft, yet enough to cast me into hell. I watched you, studied your preferences, did the things you liked, said the things you wanted to hear. I pretended to be healed by you, to make you lower your guard, to make you fall in love with me. That way, when I revealed the truth, the blow to Dylan would be the most fatal. Blood rushed to my head, my vision darkening in waves, and I staggered back a step. "But Ethan," she cried as she came toward me, trying to take my hand. Afterwards, everything changed. I watched everything you did for me. Watched you protect me, even if it meant making enemies of the whole world. I watched you be happy all day long because of one small smile for me. My heart, it got confused. I realized that my pretending to love you somehow turned into me actually falling in love with you. I don't want revenge anymore. I just want to be with you properly. I never meant to read Jasper's letter. I was afraid. Afraid that the past I had so hard a time burying would destroy everything we have now. Ethan, please believe me, okay? My love for you now is real. Let's forget all this and start over, okay? She cried until she could no longer speak, begging humbly. Just like back then, kneeling on my doorstep, Luna. One ironic cycle. I looked at her tear-streaked face, and my heart was a wasteland. Love? What is love? Is it deception, exploitation, calculation? I'm tired. I'm really tired. I gently pushed her aside, turned, and step by step walked out of this gilded, resplendent cage that made me feel suffocated. Behind me were her desperate cries. "Ethan, don't go. Please, I'm begging you, don't go." I didn't look back. Not even once. I moved out of the Taylor house and checked into a hotel. I cut off contact with everyone. I shut myself in the room, eating and drinking nothing, refusing to see anyone. In my mind, like a movie on repeat, the past half year kept playing over and over. There is Luna's betrayal, Dylan's redemption, and Sophia's healing. Every frame of the scene is full of lies and schemes. I am like a marionette, controlled by others, performing a brilliantly staged revenge drama. In the end, I moved everyone, but I was the only one I deceived. So it turned out I was the most ridiculous clown. Dylan and Sophia both came to see me. They waited for 3 days and 3 nights under my hotel. I didn't see either of them. A week later, my lawyer found me. He brought 2 documents. One was the divorce agreement signed by Sophia. She left with nothing, asking for nothing. The other was the equity transfer for Arc Intelligence. The Taylor family transferred all the shares they held, completely free of charge, into my name. Legally speaking, the current Archetype Intelligence now fully and completely belongs to me, Ethan, alone. I have become, in the truest sense, a self-made billionaire. I have obtained everything I once dreamed of: money, status, and career. But I can't feel happy at all. My heart is empty, like a vast black hole, swallowing all light and warmth. After the lawyer left, I received one last message from Dylan. Ethan, I'm sorry. I know these 3 words are cheap, but I still have to say them. My sister, she's not going to make it. Jasper's letter not only exposed my secret, it also detailed a lot of the kidnapping case back then. After she read the letter, she completely fell apart. The doctor said her PTSD relapsed, and it's worse than before. She locked herself in the studio, won't see anyone, won't eat. My parents are already preparing to send her to Switzerland for treatment. Before she leaves, she just wants to see you one more time. I know I have no right to ask, but consider this me begging, okay? I stare at that message for a very long time, not moving. In my heart, hatred and love are intertwined, pain and reluctance tugging at each other. Reason tells me we should part ways here and live our lives separately and well. But yet my mind uncontrollably conjures Sophia's face. The way she smiled at me for the first time, the way she clumsily told me, "Don't be afraid," the way she said, "I love you too," in my arms. Were those moments acting or genuine feeling? My heart began to ache again. The pain was so real. In the end, I still went to the airport. In the VIP lounge, I saw Sophia. She was so thin she was unrecognizable, her face as pale as paper, wearing an oversized hospital gown, sitting in a wheelchair, her eyes hollow and lifeless. She had reverted to that doll I first met, who couldn't speak and couldn't smile, even more broken than she had been then. When she looked at me, there was finally a glimmer of light in her hollow eyes. She reached out her hand toward me, like someone about to drown, grasping the last piece of driftwood. I walked up to her, crouched down, and took her cold hand. 1,000 words surged to my heart, but in the end they all dissolved into a single sigh. "Sophia, forget me," I said. "When you get to Switzerland, get the treatment you need and live well. You're still young. Your life is only just beginning." Her tears fell once more. She opened her mouth and, using all her strength, mouthed words to me. I understood. What she said was, "Take me with you." My heart was struck hard by those 3 words. Take her with me? Where should I take her? Why should I be the one to take her away? I let go of her hand, stood up, steeled myself, and turned away. Sorry. I walked off without looking back. I know that this turn of my back is a farewell forever. I thought this was the best ending for all of us. I took my company, she took her wounds, and we returned to our own paths, never to cross again. From now on, the world is vast and the road long. Take care of yourselves. I returned to my life, or rather, returned to my work. I threw myself into it harder and more wildly than before. I filled every moment with work, leaving myself no room for idle thoughts. Under my leadership, Arc Intelligence skyrocketed in market value and became an undisputed giant in the industry. I became the legend people talked about, a myth in the business world. They said I was cold, decisive, and heartless. They didn't know that my heart had long since died. And so the days went by, one after another. 1 year later, on a drizzly afternoon, I was driving aimlessly, wandering the streets. As if guided by some strange force, I drove to the villa community where Sophia and I once lived. I parked by the curb and stared absent-mindedly at the house we used to live in together. Just then, I saw a familiar figure come out of the villa, holding an umbrella. It's Luna. She looked more haggard than a year ago, but her clothes and makeup had returned to their former gloss. I was stunned. How is she here? She walked over to a Porsche parked at the entrance, opened the door, and got in. I could see the driver clearly. It's Dylan. How could they be together? A huge, chilling suspicion surged into my mind in an instant. I started the car and quietly followed. I followed them into an upscale restaurant. I watched them walk into a private room together, behaving intimately like a couple deep in love. My mind was in complete chaos. What on earth is going on? Could it be? I took out my phone and dialed someone I hadn't contacted in a long time, my former assistant, a very reliable private detective. Help me check two people, Dylan and Luna. What exactly is the relationship between them? An hour later, I received a reply. The reply wasn't long, but it was enough to overturn my entire worldview. Mr. Johnson, Dylan and Luna have been secret lovers since their college days. Luna being with you is only a cover to hide things, and at the same time to provoke Dylan. Because the Taylor family would never agree to Dylan marrying a woman of ordinary background. A year ago, after you and Miss Sophia divorced, Dylan began formally pursuing Luna. He also used the Taylor family's resources to help the Bennett group make a comeback. Also, regarding Miss Sophia's abduction case, we've uncovered some new clues. Before Jasper's suicide, he had a long talk with his lawyer. He claimed that he was not the mastermind back then. He was only a pawn. The one who truly orchestrated everything was Dylan. Dylan planned the abduction for two reasons. First, to create chaos and use the opportunity to embezzle company funds to cover the huge gambling debts he had accrued. Second, to completely destroy Sophia. This was because the Taylor family's patriarch had written a will stipulating that most of the Taylor family's assets would be inherited by the eldest granddaughter, Sophia. The letter Jasper left was forged. It was written by Dylan and Luna together, imitating Jasper's handwriting. Their purpose was to drive a wedge between you and Miss Sophia, to make you leave the Taylor family for good. The phone slipped from my hand, fell to the ground, and the screen shattered. My body trembled uncontrollably. I was wrong. I was wrong from beginning to end. What I thought was the truth was a lie they had carefully woven. What I thought was manipulation was actually clumsy, profound love. Sophia never used me. She pretended to know the truth, endured the heartbreak, signed that divorce agreement, and forced herself to leave me to protect me. She feared that if I discovered Dylan was the real mastermind, I would recklessly go after him for revenge. And Dylan is her own younger brother, the second young master of the Taylor family. I couldn't win against him, so she chose to sacrifice herself to save me. What a fool she is. I'm truly the most stupid fool in the world. I dashed out of the restaurant like a madman and drove straight for the airport. I'm going to find her. I'm going to find her right now. I'm going to tell her that I know everything. I'm going to tell her I love her. From start to finish, I've only ever loved her. But it was too late. When I rushed to the airport and found the person in charge of the Taylor family's private jet routes, he told me. The plane Miss Sophia was on, bound for Switzerland, had crashed over the Atlantic yesterday due to encountering severe convective weather. No one on board survived.